Konnichiwa, hajimemashite, konnihaji desu, and welcome back to World of Tanks Blitz. And right now, I am playing in my favorite tank of the game, the Centurion 7/1, because update 4.7 has recently just hit, and one of the buffs that was included on that update was that the Centurion and the FV were getting the old penetration HESH back in the form of a new gun called the 105mm Royal Ordnance L7B. Now, basically, I think this was quite of a nice move for Wargaming to do it's because honestly, in my opinion, the HESH round is actually something that makes the British very separate from the other mediums. It it's like other medium tanks of the same tier really don't have as a very high penetration as the 7/1 or the FV. So basically, the advantage of a HESH round is that it has a much higher penetration of placed on a high explosive round, and basically, if you're gonna hit, it's going to either cause a lot of module damage, or it'll take off a very large chunk of hit points. Now, previously, update 4.1 actually swapped out the premium HESH round with the heat round, but instead, it was actually a surprising move that they actually removed the cheap HESH and replaced it with the heat rounds and retaining the premium HESH. And then a few patches later, the HESH round penetration got nerfed from 210 to 170. Now, it reduced the effectiveness of the HESH rounds, and aside from that, the DPM on the Centurion and the FV also got nerfed. So pretty much, it was rather a hard day. It's quite harder to play the Centurion during that time. Like, you've got to position yourself very carefully on the map more often. You really can't get yourself on a sticky situation, and pretty much the effectiveness and the way of how you're using your tank is reduced further, at least in my opinion. So pretty much with the HESH rounds returning right now, I was absolutely thrilled to play the Centurion again, and pretty much I really couldn't spam HESH rounds here because most of the enemy tanks here are heavily armored, maybe except for this IS-8. We load in a HESH round and we hit his front, because apparently his pike nose was showing a flatter surface, allowing us to penetrate it. Now, the IS-8's frontal armor is only around like 180, but if it's pike nosed, it's very thick. But if the IS-8 shows its side, you can aim for its pike nose and pretty much high roll. We also roll on that T-34 side of the turret with 350 earlier. Now, I decided that I've got to go take out this IS-8. I really can't afford to lose this match now, but unfortunately the lag of this game. I apologize for those watching because I'm currently having some bad internet right now. So anyway, I take out this IS-8 to finish him off. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to save that T-69. But either way, I've got enough penetration to go to his armor, so why not just stay in the back and just try to finish him off. I remain in my position. I know that he's not going to be able to push that much. He's too slow, and I finish him off. End of the battle. So that was an absolutely nice round, and pretty much a nice way to say welcome back to the old HESH rounds. Even though I didn't spam that much HESH, because the enemy tanks really have very thick armor, unless they get themselves on a position where I can be able to spam my HESH on. So basically, this video is actually just to talk about the HESH rounds. Basically, it's the return of the original HESH penetration, and honestly, it was a very good decision for Wargaming to implement this. At least in a way that it gets its old HESH rounds back, and pretty much the Centurion is pretty much back to its original state, except that the DPM, which was nerfed a few patches ago along with the HESH penetration, that patch really wasn't even worth a shot. And pretty much, if they actually just did this, it would have been better if the Centurion was left out. I mean, if you're going to take out its HESH rounds, nerf it, and just put the original gun back, rather the original HESH penetration back, and that doesn't make any sense. If I did remember, the HESH rounds were actually was an attempt to try to take them out and replace them with a heat round, but unfortunately, it was scrapped, and the cheap HESH had to go and replaced with a premium HESH, which made the Centurion 7/1 to be the only tank to have 2 premium rounds at one gun. And honestly, I think it could have been better if it was left out prior to the replacement of the heat round. So anyway, let's go take a look at the after battle stats. So that was quite of an okay round. We dealt 3,825 damage, 4 kills, and 1,217 base experience. We also managed to pick up a high caliber and a top gun for dealing 3,800 damage and 4 kills. Now, basically what I think about the Centurion at its current state right now, I think it would be better if you just mounted the original gun, or like the brand new gun that came on the patch, because it basically has a much better effectiveness of when you're trying to spam HESH rounds. And honestly, heat rounds, at least in my opinion, is unreliable, because when you tend to hit those tracks, it's really not going to go through, or like the shots will get absorbed such in a way. And basically, if you're just going to shoot HESH on their tracks, it either damages them because of the splash damage, but even though if it deals very low, I think it would still be a quite okay. It would be a better comfort than just spamming heat and just not dealing any damage on hit points. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider giving it a like down below, subscribe, and let me know in the comments below on what you think of the return of the HESH penetration, the original HESH penetration on the Centurion and the FV4202. And thank you so much guys for watching. You've all been awesome, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video and in the battlefield.